talk to
That's what
somebody
we
that
call
is.
it.
Okay, can we have this meeting come to order? Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. I kind of lost my voice today, so I won't be able to talk really well. But, the order we had was, for Captain Gene Randall. Hi.
Hello.
And who are you?
I am not Captain Gene Randall.
Oh, okay.
My name is Chris Van Eyck, I'm a sergeant at the sheriff's office.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Okay, so
He's in
you're
place of,
taking Gene's
Gene's
place.
place, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What was your name again, please?
Chris, C-H-R-I-S.
Chris, do you want to share your
I have been in class all day sitting down.
Oh, so you wanna
Mine, I will
No,
stand
we're
up.
gonna have them come up here, we're gonna be filming, so,
Okay.
Chris, what's your last name?
Van Eyck.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming.
Mhm.
So, one of the things that Dennis had talked about with Gene Randall was to cover what OES, you know, how it functions out here for issues with code enforcement and then the FM alert system.
So OES does not cover code enforcement. That is a separate department within the county.
Okay,
So you would have to reach out to the planning department because that's who deals with code enforcement issues.
okay,
As far as Alert FM goes, those are issued through our department. I believe they were purchased with a grant through Firewise.
mm-hmm,
So our service officer, Dustin, handles the issuance of those for the most part. I'm not exactly sure how many we have left at this point. It is a tool. It is one of the 7 or 8 notification systems that we use, which includes iPause, which is your cell phone, WIA, which is your cell phone alert. So like when you get the earthquake notifications and it goes off, no matter if you have it on silent or not, that's WIA. EAS, that's your TV, radio, the annoying beeps that they do all the time. And then iPause, which is both of those put together. Zone Haven, door-to-door evacuations, Code Red. I feel like I'm missing one, but that should be about the majority of them. And Alert FM, obviously. So.
and then Genesis is the new thing.
Zone Haven and Genesis are the same thing.
Same
The
thing.
company changed names like midway through us, so I'm still stuck on the Zone Haven name. So it is Genesis Protect, and that's a zone-based evacuation system.
Any questions?
Well, I got one of the, Alert FMs, a couple months ago or whatever, and, I tried to use it, but if, it doesn't have any volume control or anything, you just turn it on and get country western music or something.
Nope, you plug it in, turn it on. The only way they are running tests, I don't know what the test dates are or times are. We've cut back on the testing because obviously it's fire season.
Do you want to use it for anything?
I can't know because I can't do anything with it except turn it on.
So is that normal? That's, you have no station, you got
Nope,
any
there should
country
be-
western or nothing? Is that pretty much it?
I didn't even know I had country western, so that's news to me. So it should turn on, it should give you some type of like signal strength in the corner.
These little buttons on the back do something too.
Yep. You can scroll through the different programs, add your
Oh, I see, I got you. Okay.
add your
These little
house
tiny
address.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier if you,
Okay,
there you
so-
go, you get radio reception.
Mine squawks a lot when I'm battery 50 seconds or so, it squawk.
Is it plugged in?
No,
Uh,
not with batteries.
So it's better to plug it in and use the batteries if the power goes out.
Oh, okay.
That way you're not burning through batteries. But it will, when you turn it on, it should have a signal strength on there.
Right,
So
okay.
if you have it in the middle of your house,
Mhm.
it's not gonna have as good a signal strength as if you put it near a window or someplace, an exterior wall.
Okay.
But it should work pretty much anywhere in your house, I would imagine, so, but check it out. Like I said, I don't know exactly what the testing schedule is for those. We have cut back on the testing because it is fire season and we're not trying to cause false alerts and get people all hyped up for a test.
Where do you find those at?
Where do you
get those at?
So you can go to the sheriff's office website and it should have a link to the form to fill out, and then it gets emailed to Dustin, and then he'll go through it. I think there's like 7 or 8 ways to qualify to get one for free. And then he'll help you, he'll either program it for you if you want him to, I think, don't quote me on that part, or he'll help you program it. It's pretty easy if you Bluetooth to it, program it through your phone, or you can use the 3 buttons on the back and go in and plug in your address in there.
Seems like it'd be easier to do it on the phone.
It is a heck of a lot easier to do it on your phone, yes.
Thank you.
They gave a lot of them out at one of our previous meetings, and they programmed it for us here.
Mhm.
I think it was a resident that was from the sheriff's office that was handing them out.
It could be.
That's Dustin.
Was it Dustin? I think
Yeah.
Dustin was the one that
He
came
lives
out.
out here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for, Chris?
I guess my big question is, will it work when it does work without having to listen to the radio all the time?
It should, absolutely it should. That's why I'm saying, you know, I wouldn't worry about the rate, like, don't turn the radio on if you don't wanna listen to it.
Right.
Check that signal strength bar. When you turn it on, it should show you like your cell phone does, like if you have good reception or not. If it has good reception, then it should work. The other thing to do would be to call, I'll give you a number to call, and we'll find out when we're doing the next test. I just don't know when that is, so. The other thing I saw is somebody had asked about predetermined evacuation routes. We don't do predetermined evacuation routes for fires. It's not like a flood or a tsunami where you know where the threat's coming from, right? If you live on the coast and there's a tsunami, you know where the water's coming from, you know where the threat is. If you have predetermined routes with fires, people panic, people don't critically think when they're in panic mode. So they're driving down the road, they see evacuation route sign, and it could potentially drive them right into the path of the fire. So that's why we stress, know your zones, know your major routes out of your, or away from your house, right? So Happy Valley, I think of like a dozen, right? You can take Cloverdale out.
Not a dozen.
Yeah.
Well,
This is a preliminary one Debbie has been working on.
okay,
And I have been to the county road department, talked to Darren Book
okay,
about the possibility of maybe getting some signs put up at strategic intersections. It's from McKinleyville, and they had evacuation signs for all their tsunamis.
exactly.
She come up with this idea,
So
we're
that's
working on it right now.
So that's exactly what I was saying, right? So if your fire is right here in the middle of your evacuation route, and people are just dead set on following the signs, they're gonna drive right into the threat, right? Which would be the fire.
But if we also develop, for example, there, we have the Canyon, Happy, Belinda, Cloverdale, those are the main areas out of everybody pinpoints where they live, and depending on where the fire is blowing, that at least tells them by practice, with a little bit of practice, which directions are exits out of the valley. That's the only thing I'm thinking about, because of, you know, when the other fires hit pretty close here, it was, depending on traffic, which direction you could go to get out of here, so. So if we can't do, if that can't
I
be
don't-
authorized.
I don't know what the county, that's something I would have to talk with our admin about, and what county roads is willing to do, but
Mhm.
the little bit of conversation that I've had, we dissuade from that because of those reasons, so.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's nice to know if you have an alternative, if you're not truly familiar with the valley, how to get out of here, so. Okay.
We have a little bit of experience with evacuation routes. So, we primarily, most of our work right now is being done in Napa and Lake County. And, one of the stories that David told when we first partnered with EBMS was a story about getting a little bit more money out of the grants that they have there. They had a quarter-mile left of some clear cutting that they had done, to slow fire progression down before it reached the community. And, the quarter-mile reached the next road. And we had a bunch of money, well, they had a bunch of money left over, this is previous to us partnering. And they went to the Firewise Council and they said, hey, we have some extra money in this budget, you only have a little bit farther to go here, why don't we just push it through to the next road? And the Fire Council agreed, they pushed it through to the next road, and 15 people or families were able to escape that fire that year using that clear cut path that they had cut there. And so what we've seen in fires and stuff, and living in this community my entire life, that you don't ever really know where that fire is coming from or where it's at. So I think for the most part, the fire department does a pretty good job of blocking off the roads that they don't really want you to go down. But I was just asking David, because David's been in this industry for a really long time, and I was asking, have you ever seen evacuation signs for fires? And he said, no, he hasn't. You can imagine the tsunami signs that you're talking about, that's because water comes from one direction, and we all know when we see a tsunami coming, we need to head to the mountains or get out of the way. But with fires, we just really don't know where the fires are coming from. So having those signs up could really be more of a hindrance than it could be a help, because really you just want people to get away from it and not go towards it. Having those signs pushing people towards it might be dangerous. So.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So when we issue evacuations, we will also issue a collection point to start with. So that's a point that we're gonna give you so that if you want to go to that location, you can. That is a temporary location, because it takes time for Red Cross to spin up their like sheltering areas. So we will give you that point first, and then the goal is to send a liaison from our department or some type of representative from the sheriff's office there to point you in the direction of the shelter once it's open and running. So that information should also go out with all the other stuff, like your evacuation warnings, your code reds and all that stuff. It should all come out with that.
Will it also have like, where to take livestock, or how is that?
Initially, probably not. That'll come in the hours after, depending on how long or how big this fire is or could potentially get. So if it's a smaller fire where it's gonna be a quicker, like we're not expecting to be there for 3, 4, 5, 7 days, we probably won't set up like large animal sheltering. I'm not saying that if you are affected, not to reach out, because our animal control always comes out with us for evacs to help. One, it's another body to go door to door for us, and two, it's another avenue for animals, or it's the beginning avenue for animal evacuations if we get to that point.
Is the fairgrounds kind of the pinpoint? Sorry, we're new here,
No.
so I'm just trying to, is the fairgrounds kind of like a go-to mainly, unless the fire's around there? I mean, where is it in Anderson that would, or Reading-ish area that would kind of what would be the spot?
I don't know if I really, the fairgrounds will take some. I know Haven Humane doesn't take many, if any, of the large animals, but they will do small animal. A lot of it's gonna depend on where it's at and where the fire's headed, but probably the fairground. We try to steer away from the fairgrounds for stuff, because that's, if it's a large campaign fire and we're here for weeks, that's where CAL FIRE likes to set their incident command at.
Jackie?
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's a huge group that started a few years ago when we were having a lot of fires, and they are trained now to go into the areas to bring your livestock out. So we have, and I'll get together with you later and let you know who they are. But they're trained, they've worked with CAL FIRE, and they're trained to go in, get animals out, and so you can always call them.
And who's that?
I'll have to get the name for them, or for you too.
And then we have some literature on the table there on evacuating your pets and animals too.
Yeah.
They're all, just take whatever you like.
Here, let
I
me
just
look it
wasn't
up
sure
real
if there was
quick.
like a dedicated, like,
Yeah, these,
spot or.
You can also generally, the Reading Rodeo Grounds behind the Civic
That's-
has
yeah.
some corrals, and those are open, so you can usually just haul up your trailer
they've
and a
used the
pinch
Bobby
just.
Jones Arena before too.
In Cottonwood too, yeah.
Bobby Jones is another place you can take them. Yeah, but I'll look it up.
And usually if you post on Facebook, people will reach out saying, hey, I have property if you have animals.
Yeah.
like,
I mean, are
it's-
there boarding facilities around here that would like, you know, that take them in type of thing, or is that more of a no?
Sometimes, but not always, I think, yeah, it just kind of hit and miss.
There's always ranchers and community members on Facebook that are reaching out. If anybody needs to bring their animals, they're usually a ways away from the fire. And again, that's the whole thing, is you don't wanna set one place as this is where you go, cause it might be right next to the fire. at
Yeah,
that time, you know,
exactly.
so,
Yeah.
but I've noticed in the community when we have big fires around here, and their, you know, livestock and horses and things like that they need to get out, there's always, like, our community's great at pulling together and making sure that we take care of each other, so.
And are you talking about horses, or are you talking like cattle?
Not goats, we have, horses, goats.
Okay. So if you're talking like cattle, beehives, ag stuff, agricultural, like that's how you make your living kind of stuff, I would urge you to look into Ag Pass. Ag Pass will get you, so day 2, 3, 4, 5 into this fire, we will honor Ag Passes. What Ag Pass is you, and this is real brief, so bear with me. You take a class, you apply through the Ag Department or the Ag Commissioner, and it allows you access into your house. Obviously we're not gonna allow you to go into a situation where the fire's still burning toward your residence, but if your residence is in an area where we feel that it's safe for you to go in and out to feed or water your animals and then leave, we'll allow that. And what'll happen is with your Ag Pass, you can go to a predetermined entry point that we will publish, and you can get through with your Ag Pass to feed and water your animals and then come back out. Okay? That doesn't give you free reign to go in and feed everybody's animals. There's specific requirements to that, and it comes with the back of your Ag Pass has a map of where your like residence is or where your properties are, and that's what you have access to. So you will, I don't know about revoked, but you will get booted out of the evacuation area if you're not in an area that you're allowed to be in with your Ag Pass. But that's something to look into. There's a link again on the Sheriff's Office webpage, that'll get you to the Ag Pass and eventually to the Ag Commissioner. I don't know if they have any more classes this year, so, but that's something to look into for next year.
Thank you.
Another thing is, we were approaching the fire department about the possibility of reinstating our fire siren. It's old and antiquated right now, it's partly disabled, but do you know of any problems with running the fire siren when there's a big event going on?
I know nothing about that, so I'm not gonna say you can or can't do that. I have no idea what the rules or
Well, I've
regulations
been
are.
following the news about Paradise installing their fire alert sirens, and of course, they're more modern than what ours is. Usually the last fire truck out was one that turned it on, and then when they come back, they have to turn it off manually, and it's not working right now. But years ago, they run that siren every time there was a big fire, and a lot of the people were volunteers for the fire department, and they'd show up and help put the fire out. We just thought it'd be a good idea if they had some type of an alert system.
I agree.
Just look how Lahaina ended up, they didn't know it was even coming. That's just another project that we're working on.
I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of grant money available for that after this issue in Hawaii.
What, did you have anything else for us, or do you think that was okay?
Any more questions? Thank you so much for all the
Thank you for
information.
coming out, I
No
really
problem.
appreciate it,
Absolutely.
so,
Have a good evening.
all right. So, Jeremy, Hayward is, president. Okay, I hope this is right title. This is what, Dennis gave me, of the Reading Rancheria Economic Development Corp.
Yep.
And David Bravo is with you.
Yeah, he's our partner with the Essential Vegetation Management Services.
Okay, so if you would like to speak next, cause Gabriel Troll was supposed to be here, but he must be maybe on a call. He's with CAL FIRE.
Okay, you want us to come up there?
Sure, yes, that way we'll have you recorded.
Can I stay here, cause the camera has 25. I think they got like 4 cameras on it.
So I think what we're here to talk about is the Neighbors in Need program, or Neighbors Helping Neighbors. So again, what we were talking about earlier is we do this type of work in Napa and Lake County right now. We're trying really hard to get a crew up here in Shasta County to do work in Shasta, Trinity, and Siskiyou County up here. So we we start doing this type of work in Northern California, but our partnership's fairly new. We partnered in January, and we've been going after grants and funding and stuff to try to make literally as large of an impact as we can on the fires that are happening within the community and stuff. So, one of the programs that these guys have talked about is, Neighbors Helping Neighbors, and that's essentially people, elderly people or disabled people that, aren't able to do the type of work that needs to be done on those houses or around those houses in order to prevent fires from burning them down. We all seen in the Carr fire where, the fire came in, I think it was Mary Lake neighborhood that I seen, where there was, one house would burn and the house next to it wouldn't, and a couple more would burn and another one wouldn't. And, back then I wasn't as versed as I am now, and so I was asking the questions, how come some of these houses burnt and some of them didn't? Does that mean that the firemen cared more about this house than the other house? And that doesn't stand to be true. So, what I learned was working with these guys is a lot of the issues have to do with having vegetation touching your house or close to your house, not cleaning out your gutters and things like that before fire season. So when the embers are falling from the sky, they fall into your gutters and they light the leaves on fire that are in your gutters, and that's one of the quickest ways to get your house burnt down. So the Neighbors Helping Neighbors program is something that EVMS takes very seriously, and is here to help if we can help any way within the community. If you guys know of anybody that needs help, definitely reach out and let us know. When we get our crews up here, we'd be happy to help as many people as we can. So I've been talking to Ron a lot, and John Livingston and a couple other people about trying to find some grants and some funding to come do some work up here. So we found the recent grant that we found was about $10 million that we could go after. So we're gonna meet with the people here in the next couple of weeks, see if it's a good fit, if it's something that we can go after or not, try to get some vegetation management plans done for the houses.
Sounds good.
You wanna say anything?
Oh, what he was referring to, yeah, is the defensible space. CAL FIRE generally will go and cite people if they don't have, the vegetation removed from the house, if it's overgrown, things of that nature that can cause a fire. And as he said, you see when the fires come through, the people that cleared up around their houses, a lot of times the house or the property has a higher chance of making it through or survival on that. That's something that we do pride ourselves in helping, and as he mentioned, either grants, funding, or even fundraisers, things of that nature, to help people who can't, maybe don't have the means to do it, either physically or financially, and we can get in and clear those neighbors. CAL FIRE does ask that everyone who does have the means do that work, and make sure that you take care of your house, because you're also helping your neighbor's house and everyone else around. But that's something that we offer, and again, as Jeremy mentioned, we love to come in and collaborate with you on putting something together, and I believe you mentioned that there's already some of those wheels in motion on things of that nature.
So, not last month, a couple months ago in June, we were able to partner with the Karuk tribe up north, and their community, they have fires every year, and the Karuk tribe has a hard time hiring people to work for their tribe because the houses up there that their team members live in burn down every year, and all their qualified workers move out of the area because it's not being rebuilt fast enough for them to find housing after their neighborhood's burnt down. And so what we did is we went up there with Karuk, and we planned a charity golf tournament, and we raised, I think, a little over $20,000 for the community so that they could apply for grants to do vegetation management plans for low-income housing. And that was something that was really, really needed up there. That's something that we would love to be able to help you guys with here. But it really helps all the houses in the community that can't afford to do vegetation management plans. Helps them get that stuff done so that we have less devastation when those large fires come through. And then again, what I was talking about earlier is making sure that we have the fire breaks and stuff within the community so that we slow these fires down before it reaches us, gives us a chance to escape and have evacuation routes and all that stuff. So.
What he had mentioned before about that escape route, in which we were able to help the 15 families in that community get out through that section, is one of the things about our company that when we partner with a tribe and we look at our mantra is money isn't the goal, money isn't the goal of what we do, it's a consequence of what we do. And if we do what we do well, we make money, and if we don't do it well, then we just need to go do something else because we're not worth a darn at that. But in regards to funding, grants, whatever the money is, what we like to do is plan with the community and stretch that dollar, make that, a lot of times we pick up projects with CAL FIRE or with Firewise community funding, and they'll give a plan, but they don't necessarily know the vegetation, they don't necessarily know the way to attack the work or work it. So we see that they might allot, I'll just use a number of $100,000, they might allot $100,000 for several acres of work, and we go in and we ask to plan that, to help them plan it, and we look at it and say, well, you're asking for 5 acres. We could actually do 10 acres with the same budget if you do the work this way. And so in this instance, that's what happened. We were able to stretch the budget for that community, and then that ended up being something really huge, life-saving in the end, so.
One of the things that we do actively is recruit for elderly people, or not so elderly people, but people who have limited resources to do that. We have a couple of people right now, and Dennis may have talked to you about it. That's something that we would like to
we have on the
continue.
list, yeah.
Yeah, definitely reach out, to us on that list.
Okay.
Super. Questions?
Yes. I live next door to the worst fire hazard in Happy Valley. I've been working on this for years and years and years. I had CAL FIRE come out and do many, many inspections. I have all those copies of their little yellow sheet that they give you when they inspect your property. The fellow has been cited. Papers went to the district attorney's office. I guess that's the way that CAL FIRE does it. But it's a dead end. The district attorney's office wouldn't do anything because we didn't have a case number, and with the sheriff's office. And also our defensible space ordinance that was written up October 2019 doesn't cover the smaller landowners. It was only to benefit the large landowners. So is there another agency we can go to for inspections and possible citations to try and get the properties cleaned up?
As far as I know, so far it is only CAL FIRE that does that. But again, if you follow, I know there's, as with most governments, there's always a bureaucracy and red tape that you gotta get through to get to where you need to. But that's something that we can help investigate. Some of the members on our team actually helped write those regulations for defensible space and actually created those programs many years ago, and that's what's actually implemented now. So again, some of our team is responsible for the laws, regulations and such, and with that being said, we can find out exactly how we can streamline that kind of process, and then find out maybe what's the reason that he's not doing the work, or that particular person or that particular family. Is it a funding issue? Is it a finance issue? Is it physical? So we don't know, but we could help. Maybe we could help try to streamline that process.
Well, he has all the equipment in the world. He used to work in construction for PG&E. He could clean that property up. Everything's still there from that snowstorm 4 years ago.
Right.
And it's right out to the fog line on the street. So one spark is gonna set that off.
Yeah, I know how that is. So I have the same thing. When I bought my house, we had 13 down trees in our backyard. And I asked the neighbor to pitch in on getting them all cleaned up, and he said no. So I went and cleaned up everything, and he told me to stay off his property. So I cleaned everything up to the property line. And now we still have 4 or 5 down trees right there that are all knotted up with bushes and stuff in them.
We've got them right to the property line. We hired some handymen earlier this year. It was about $900 for them to go down our driveway and trim it back to the property line, but it's all grown back.
Yeah, it does.
But he will not, he doesn't want anything touched on his property, and he gets rather violent.
Kellstrom,
Chris?
Kellstrom.
He comes to a lot of our meetings. I thought maybe he might be here tonight, but he isn't.
He's a great resource as far as the ordinance goes, and he really, really wants to change how large landowners are managing their properties right now, because, you know, all of us, we can do all the vegetation management plans that we can to our houses, but if the larger landowners are allowing their properties to burn, what chances do our houses have, you know? And so Chris is, I've had a lot of meetings with Chris, and he's definitely one of the people who wants to change the way that large landowners are taking care of their properties
Yeah,
right
he
now.
said at some of our meetings that he would start working on that, but in the meantime, nothing is being done, so.
We have people that can help write those ordinances, and have people that can help you update the ordinances so that we can hold those people responsible.
Who would I contact?
Contact me.
Oh, you have a card?
Don't, but I'll leave you my phone number.
And then code enforcement at this point through the resource management is
That would still be going, code enforcement would still be going to CAL FIRE, currently.
still under CAL FIRE? Okay, all right. Katie?
I wasn't supposed to be speaking.
Oh, I know, but you have a lot of things going on. I don't know if everybody knows Katie Komenich, okay. She's with our local fire safe council, so I think she's in touch with these guys on different projects, right?
Mostly for the festival that we're putting on.
Right.
In October, we've got a festival going on, at Palisadro Park. So I put some flyers out there and it's on our website and stuff, but it's,
Okay.
but
I
they're
just
gonna
wanted to
be
introduce you, because I
helping
know
us
you're
with that. so.
quietly sitting over there. And then,
Yes, on
are you
purpose.
Ron?
Yeah.
Hi, Ron.
Hi.
So I also wanted to introduce you real quick too, and you could just tell what your role is, and I know all of you kind of fit together on this, so.
You can stay up there.
Yeah.
Did anybody have questions for
Oh,
these two
sorry, yes.
gentlemen?
Yeah,
What was the name of your company again?
Essential Vegetation Management Services, or EVMS.
What is your phone number?
530-524-9399.
524-9399?
Yep.
Thank
I hope you don't mind that being on YouTube.
and I think Dennis has talked to you a little bit about how he's gathering some names in the valley, people that need help, so we'll definitely be in touch to see what we can work out, so. Okay, and then Ron, I wanted to, your last name is Rustin, is
Yeah,
that correct?
Ron Rustin, I'm the fairly newly hired county coordinator for the Shasta Fire Safe Council. Been in place for about 2.5 months, thereabouts, and just trying to really, the push of the position that I'm in is to really support the Firewise community. So what you guys are doing and that kind of thing. So one of the things that we're implementing, and we've done one of them in Old Shasta, is a field trip where, you know, we want to meet with the Firewise group, the community out there, and then take a field trip around the area and identify different problem areas, hazards that you guys might have out there that are concerned to the group. And then we want to reach out at that point and see if there's any opportunities for us to find some funding to mitigate those hazards. So that's one of the things we're doing. It was really successful in Old Shasta, at least identifying stuff. They already had Vestra out there doing a big bunch of masticating and fuels reduction out already, but there was a couple other areas that we're looking into to hopefully help mitigate some of those hazards that they've identified out there. Another part of what I'm trying, or what I'm doing, is reaching out to a lot of the cooperators, different, be it agencies or just local groups that are doing the same thing. Like, you know, the Rancheria, you know, they're doing a lot of stuff. I've talked with the North Valley Catholic Social Services. They're out there doing stuff. You know, of course, then there's PG&E, the Forest Service, and CAL FIRE, and everybody's doing things out there. And what we're trying to do as the Fire Council is not duplicate efforts out there and step across each other, but try to kind of bring everybody together so we can identify areas throughout the county that we can partner with one another to, you know, get some projects and things completed out there. So we're just, at least for me, just starting that out. It's kind of a work in progress, but I have no problem, you know, if you guys wanted to set up like a field trip or at some point, be more than happy to do that, to come out and, again, meet with you guys, see what those areas of concern are, and see if there's something we can do about it.
And would that be something that eventually maybe we could partner with you on all of that as well?
One thing that working with the tribe has an advantage for is that when we go after grants and things like that, we check a lot of boxes that communities have a hard time checking. So I think that that's a way that we can partner, and we've been talking about that so far, is how can we go after grants together, or is there a way for the Fire Council to go after their grants and us to go after grants separately? That way, rather than us going after $10 million, we go after $20 million of work that can be done in this area. So I'm extremely creative when it comes to getting things like this done. So I think the more meetings that we have and the more funding that we can identify, we'll do everything that we can for this community.
kind of tag on what Jeremy's saying, my focus, on this is, you know, a lot of fire councils and different things, you know, they're all throughout the state, are looking more at, bigger landscape type projects, and there's a place for those, and those things need to be done. But, my focus is trying to meet with, the Firewise groups, you know, start something on the ground and see what we can help the local community, the individual homeowners with, and kind of expand out from there, and start with, let's protect individual homes, individual communities. And if that means a landscape project, great. If that means let's do some, you know, vegetation management around homes, or just in areas of, you know, ingress, egress, all those kinds of things that we can come, you know, do, just to help the community. That's kind of, my focus is more coming from the ground up instead of, you know, from, you know, the top down. From landscape down to you guys, I'd rather go the other way. Help the local homeowner first, and then work our way out to the bigger projects if they're needed, you know, out there.
So like China Gulch, I think me and you have talked about this, that whole left side of China Gulch, when you drive up that, how it's all been cleared out, and there's not as many brush
I
and
loved
fuel
it.
and stuff. It's so nice, and I think that's, a lot of that work can still be done out here, and we can still identify a lot of those projects in Happy Valley that need to be done, so.
And that's part of what the field trip would do. We could identify that kind of stuff, and one of the other projects coming up is getting our CWPP done, Community Wildfire Protection Plan. We're finding that, or at least I am, because I'm new to this, finding that as those are developed, those projects, and if we don't know what the projects are, we can't get them into that CWPP, but if we get them into there, a lot of grants that are available out there, if it's not in the CWPP, they won't even talk to you about the funding. So we want to get a lot of projects identified, get them into that plan, so when we go after the funding, we have a better chance of getting that.
When you do the field trips, is it people in their cars that go from house to house or down certain streets?
Well, that's the way Old Shasta was, and it really depends on each one. I don't know if everybody knows Barb Holder. She's part of the, she's one of the board members, and she's with the Fire Safe Council over on, or the Firewise group in Inwood. I think she's out in Inwood, and they're wanting to do a field trip, so we'll go out there. But basically, the Firewise leadership, you know, for that community would just, we'd want a central place to meet, to start to talk, but to identify different areas. And yeah, we'd probably take a little drive. And when we did it at Old Shasta, we had several vehicles, you know, we'd carpool around and did that. And at the end, you know, we'd provide lunch and then sit down and kind of talk and do a little summary. And I'm working now on a template that I could send the Firewise leaders, kind of what the expectations of that are, so we could have that front loaded and get all that information. So if it's appropriate, I can invite Jeremy out to that, or a CAL FIRE battalion chief, or maybe a Forest Service battalion if there's federal land out there. You know, wherever it is, once we know that information ahead of time, then we can get the appropriate, you know, there may be some road, you know, county road people that we want to get involved in that. You know, it just depends on the area and what the hazards or concerns are. Then we try to pull all the people together that would be helpful in coming up with solutions for those things, and then get them out on that little field trip. And
Do you do those on a weekend or like during the week, or?
It's been during the week so far.
How many people would be interested in doing one of those field trips here in Happy Valley, just so we can kind of get an idea? Yeah, that would be great.
We have a couple buses at Rancheria. I might be able to get them to drive us
Well, that would be
around,
fun.
depending on how many people.
I'm all for that.
And we do have, when we got ourselves accredited, we did do a 3-year plan, which I'd kind of like for you to look at. I don't know if Dennis talked to you about it.
No,
Because we were concerned about county roads, the ingress and egress in some areas, because we did the tour with CAL FIRE, Bill Dunlap, our local fire chief, and, I can't think of the gal's name that was prior at the fire safety. Sarah, something. Yeah, and we did a drive through the neighborhoods and the main roadways. Because one of the things is on some of the roads, the shrubs, the growth is right up next to the road. It just, every time I look at it, I'm going, wanna make sure I'm through that area when nothing's going on, cause there's some areas where it's just super close to the road.
I just hold my breath at night, hope that nobody's gonna backfire into that brush right there on the street.
But
Well, those are the
yeah,
kinds of things, and I know that just talking to the groups that I have so far, that ingress and egress is a big issue. I think just about everywhere, so,
yeah.
you know, that's something that I think we could identify, and, you know, instead of just trying to do a little one here, if we can identify a bigger area, go after some funding for that, and then, you know, try to accomplish,
Maybe we
you
can
know.
just look at the original plan we did too, cause we know
Sure.
we've gotta do some, and they told me that, they said as the years go on, that you'll probably have to readdress some of the things that you put on there. Cause, you know,
Like I said,
we
if
had
you
real high hopes, you know.
if you already
when we
have
pulled it
something,
up.
I'd love to look at
Yes,
it
I can
and
send
put
it
that
to you.
together, and if
Mhm.
you guys as a group, you know, would like to schedule some type of field trip, be more than happy to do
Yeah,
that
that'd
as
be-
well.
That'd
Do
be
you
great
have a
for community
CWPP
members.
right now?
Hmm?
Do you have a CWPP right now?
It was part of what we did to get our accreditation
The
for
risk
our
assessment.
It's like a
Firewise.
risk assessment.
It's a risk
Firewise.
assessment plan that we did.
And they do that every, was it 3 years, I think?
Yeah,
Yeah, renew it every
Yeah.
They
year.
renew that every year, every 3 years for that, so.
So the funding that we found, we can get up to 800,000 to develop the CWPP.
Oh.
And we wouldn't qualify for the second grant this year, we'd have to wait till next year, but next year's you can get a $10 million grant to do this type of work, which is a
Wow.
lot of money to do.
Yeah.
Market work, so. can
Okay,
do
we
quite a
definitely
bit
need to
with
get together. But yeah, I think the rest of the community, if they wanna go on a tour just to see, cause there were areas I had not gone to in Happy Valley and didn't realize some of the problems that were out here, so.
When I was in the road
And-
department, excuse me,
that. Oh, go ahead.
he told me that there's a lot of roads and streets out here where the county has no easement.
Right.
So it's right up to the,
One way
it's up to
in.
the private property owner.
There's a lot of those roads out here.
We have a lot of roads out here that should have been, have the grass trimmed back earlier this year before there was any fire hazard, and there was no program for it.
But that's why we're meeting now, cause we wanna get things going, that's the whole idea.
Well, one of the things I am finding is, the more organizations and partners that I'm meeting with out there, a lot of them are very motivated about wanting to get stuff done for the residents within the county. So it seems very positive to me, and as long as we can be organized, and like Jeremy was saying, if we can get that funding, and start getting some work done on the ground, and that's really our goal. You know, I spent way too many years, my whole career in the federal government, so I know how things can get set on a shelf and just sit there and never get done, and it's very frustrating, and I know it's frustrating for people here. You know, you identify stuff, you wanna get it done, and then just like nothing seems to happen, and, you know, we're trying to change that with, you know, identifying some stuff, trying to get some funding fairly quick, however that will work, but then, you know, try to get those boots on the ground and get some projects done for the community. So that's definitely our goal, and we hope to move forward with that.
Sounds great. Did you have any more input for us?
No, just if anybody had any questions, they could always reach out to us at a later time.
Katie, you have anything?
No, just come to our festival.
Yeah, come to the festival.
October
Well,
14th.
Unfortunately,
Cooler.
we
It's the
have one on
community fair.
October 14th here.
Oh.
Yeah, it's from 11 to 2.
Oh,
So they're gonna have to go between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, now yours lasts a little bit longer.
Yeah, ours will be 10 to 3. This year, it's the first year, so just doing some representatives from CAL FIRE, Forest Service, Sheriff, things like that. People can bring some pictures of their property and get some basic risk assessment of their property. We are having a firefighter challenge with CAL FIRE and Forest Service, and then they're also gonna do some demonstrations of what they do out while they're fighting the fires. We've got a band and a barbecue and beer booth, and then some games for kids and like a little photo booth. So trying to make it just kind of a fun educational day. So hopefully a lot of people will come for the first year, and then we'll just grow from there.
You bring Smokey out?
Smokey the Bear and Captain Cal, and then the Firewise mascot is Reddy Raccoon. So hopefully Siskiyou is supposed to be trying to let us borrow the costume. And then I just have to find somebody that wants to wear it. Yeah.
No, I think you.
I had the honor of being Woodsy Al for years. Don't like the suits.
But yeah, so I'm the community outreach coordinator for the fire council, so, my role is just to kind of supplement all of this and be available for helping with education on all of this. That's it.
Any other questions or thoughts? Any other input? The only person we didn't get to meet today was,
I have one question over.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
Tammy,
Just a question, what do we have going on the same day they do?
The Happy Valley
Community
Community
Fair.
Fair. It's
The
put
Happy
on by the
Valley Community
HBCC.
Fair.
Oh, okay.
you know, we might have to look at changing that date, cause
I'll
this sounds
text
like,
Sarah tonight.
yeah, I wish she was here so she could talk. This sounds like something we really need to go to. But she's already had to change it once, it was gonna be September 30th, but it conflicted with something else Harry had lined up for the facility. And she's contacted a lot of different organizations and, got
Not
some of
able
it
to
set up.
do it, depending on what she's got going. Well, the only other speaker we were gonna have today was Gabriel, Troll, the battalion chief for the Shasta Trinity unit at Canyon. So hopefully we can catch up with him another time. I just wanted him to tell us about any projects he's working on in the area, cause I noticed at least, I live off China Gulch, so I noticed Canyon coming up to China Gulch, they've done a lot of work right in there cleaning up, so they are helping on their off time when they're not out during fires, so. Kinda wanted to see if he had any big projects going on or anything, so.
Right there, at China Gulch and Canyon, at that old school, you guys are aware that they have hand crews
Yes.
stationed out of there.
Yeah.
CAL FIRE, and they're
Yeah,
not the
that's
inmate crews,
wonderful.
they're
The regular
the
workers.
regular
yeah.
civilian
Mhm.
hired crews, okay.
So
So it's nice to have them there.
Are they gonna be purchasing that property and like that's gonna be a permanent thing
I
or?
think they
I
said it's
don't know
leased right now, I think it's just leased.
Yeah.
And I figured if Gabriel could make it to one of our meetings, we could kinda ask a little more detail.
I think it'd be a great setup for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got dorms, it's got everything, so it's a good setup.
We're there on China Gulch too, so I like seeing them there.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I'd like if they moved an engine in there, or a couple engines at
Yes,
some
yeah.
point, but the crews are
Sometimes
fine.
there are 2 or 3 down there when I drive by. so.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other input or, suggestions? Thank you for everybody that turned in a worksheet too, that's gonna help me do our count for this year for meeting our goals for our numbers for continuing to be qualified as a Firewise community, so. We weren't gonna do a meeting in October, cause it looks like there's a couple other things going on. And typically, we don't do a meeting in November, December because of holidays and people have plans with family and friends. So we're thinking, we'll probably try to meet again in January unless something comes up or if anybody feels we really need to get together again.
No meeting in September?
No, we were going to, skip September, so.
Skipping September, October,
We'll have a
November,
meeting
December.
in October, won't
Do
we?
you wanna do one in October?
Well, I'd like to.
I thought these other two, I didn't know if we were gonna be competing with some of their dates. Does everybody, would they like to have another meeting in October, do every other month, would that work?
October won't conflict with HVCC.
It will, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it,
October, the 3rd Thursday would be ours, and the 4th Thursday would be Firewise, so
oh,
we'd be
okay,
okay.
so no problem there.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll just, cancel the one for next month and then, not have a meeting in November and December because of the holidays. So one more meeting and then we'll take up again in January.
so 4th Thursday in October,
It's the 26th.
And if we can line up this tour, we'll get it out on Facebook so everybody knows.
That'd be a good time.
That'd be
do
fun to
the
go
tour.
in a bus where we could all go
Yeah.
together.
Let me know the dates, I'll also entry if we can get some
Okay.
drivers around.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll put in for the margarita machine.
So,
We like that plan.
what kind of dates do you guys have available?
You'll have to let me know what you're thinking. My calendar fills up really quickly, but I imagine we can get somebody out.
Okay, sounds good.
We got another question.
Tammy?
Yes.
Some of us live outside of Facebook, so would you send an email to, please?
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
And we'll try to get it in the water board newsletter also with the water bill. Okay. Finally got it, the sign working on the corner. Did everybody see that? Been since August the 1st. They got it working for a little while yesterday and then it went blank. But it's working now. Bruce, would you like to talk a little bit about that house in Lahaina?
Well, yes, my name is Bruce Cozy, and I've been coming to the Firewise meetings here for, since we started. One of the interesting things that came out of Lahaina, the fire there, was the Red House. We've all heard about the Red House, but it survived that firestorm because of the work that they did, just the little things. They said, keeping the vegetation away from the wood building, it was an old wood house. Redoing the roof so it wasn't flammable. So what happened is, and they had big flaming things in the air, 4 feet long, landing on roofs, and they'd slide off the roof and catch the vegetation on fire right next to the house, and the house would go up in flames. And so that was a problem. Well, if you clear out from the house, things that fall on the roof fall off and don't start a fire. Anyway, it was very interesting how a little bit of work in the right places at the right times paid off big dividends. And I think it's a story for all of us in our houses, just to look around and where is that fire going to start? It's pretty scary.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay.
Any other input?
We'll let you know when we're gonna do the field trip. We'll have a lot of fun. Use Wind River's bus.
With the margarita machines.
That's good. Well, thank you, everybody that came to the meeting. I was hoping we'd have a good attendance and be able to meet our community partners that are working on our behalf, between Jeremy and David and Katie and Ron. I mean, they're all, we're all trying to work together, figure out how to piece all this together and get some work done here in Happy Valley to make it safe for all of us, so. Okay. Well, thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Mhm.